All right, today's going to be one of those shows that is going to speak loud and clear to you in a very simple way. Some of you are going to freak out. Some of you have heard this before and you're going to go, yep, that's right. But we're going to talk about you and what you're doing and how that's a barometer for what you're getting. And you may not like it, but that's okay. You'll change your life by the end of this show, at least a little bit, because your mind's going to change if you pay attention to it and you are willing to take this thought that I'm going to give you today seriously. It is a daily boost from motivationtomove.com. Come on in, we'll teach you some stuff. Teach you how to be happy, teach you how to get what you want in life, teach you how to disrupt the world in a good way, teach you how to really basically get out of bed every single day and just get what you want. And it's up to you. Whatever that is, we'll talk about more of that today. It's a daily boost. It's me, Scott Smith, founder, chief motivating officer here at motivationtomove.com, renegade in the motivation world because I don't talk or sound like anybody else. This is pretty simple, man. I just get out of bed. It's like, okay, what do I want today? All right, let's go do it. That's it. You mean you just decide what you want and go get it? Mm-hmm. That's how it works. Scare my wife to death half the time because sometimes I'll go, honey, guess what I'm going to do? Usually it's expensive, like 100,000 plus. Honey, this is my new idea. And she freaks out. Took her about 10 years to figure out that I wasn't really going to do it. I was just thinking about it. Except about 10% of the time I do it and it freaks her out. But anyway, yeah, you should be able to get out of bed every single day and say, what am I going to do today? And go do it. If you can do that, life is really good. Hey, let's put it on the front side this time. If you guys are listening and you haven't joined me in the Facebook page, go to dailyboostpodcast.com/Facebook. You premium members too, because we're seeing you over there a lot. There's like 3,200 people there. I started building this group very slowly a ways ago. It's a nice group. It's if you're looking for actually a nice place on Facebook that's motivational with cool people that will actually talk to you, it's a cool place to go. And also for you Daily Boost premium members, thank you. You guys are the one that help drive this machine. You guys get the Daily Nugget every single day, the written version of this podcast. It's actually what I actually write the Daily Nuggets, about 300 words. I write that, and then I base the podcast on what's written. So you're getting the written version first, then you hear the expanded version on the podcast. DailyBoostPremium.com. Friday, always ask the question, how do I want to feel? Started asking this thing probably, 15, 16 years ago. Because I recognize something. I recognize that we're all emotional beings. And usually at the end of the day, intellectually, it wasn't that was making me mad. It wasn't that. Listen, I wasn't having a bad day because intellectually, something was bugging me. I was having a bad day because something pissed me off, right? You too? That was it. Somebody, as Zig Ziglar used to say, somebody kicked my cat. Something happened. Somebody looked at me. It was weird. And I just recognized, okay, so we have a choice. How we want to feel. And it all begins by saying, how do I want to feel? Now, listen, there's some guys out there, some ladies out there too, like you, that are going to say, I don't care. I feel like I feel. It's life. You're like, well, okay, it's cool. But ultimately, you're still making a choice. The day you can do that and just choose how you want to feel and take the advanced version of it too, just stop at the end of the show and say, how do I want to feel? Write down a few notes. And maybe say you're a boss or a teacher or a family, you have a family or whatever it is, or even a good neighbor. How do I want to make my neighbor feel today? Maybe life has been difficult for them and you decide to go make them happy for a day. I don't know. It changes the world when you do that. Ask yourself the question, how do I want to feel? And the answer should be freaking awesome. Okay. So this is, you almost hold me back right now because sometimes the stuff that I do is kind of between the lines. It's not the standard 101 personal growth stuff. It's more like once you go through the 101 personal growth stuff, and you spend enough time living and paying attention and listening to all the BS that's running around there, you figure out what really works. And I've been around long enough to do it now, and I'm just not going to, I cannot live my life saying the same thing a million other people have said for God knows how long now. I'm going to be honest with you. And so sometimes I take it down to very, very simple, which is really, it's bad for me because when I make it simple, I can't charge you a lot of money for it. So I should make it more complicated and more sophisticated and charge you a ton of money, but instead we make it simple, put it on a podcast for you. So here's a question, and I am going to ask you this question, ask you really ponder right now. A few years ago, I just recognized that most people are looking for passion and purpose in life. They're trying to figure stuff out, and they're busy, as we talked about early on this week. But when I ask a question, I say, what do you do when you're doing you? Well, the first thing that happens is I kind of smile, double entendre there. It's kind of nasty, right? What do you do when you're doing you? Sorry, kids. But the truth is, what do you do when you're doing you? And people look at me, it's usually crickets. Huh? I could be on a coaching call, somebody pay me a lot of money, talk to me. And I'm on the phone and we're chatting, they're listening to me, they're taking notes. I said, so what do you do when you're doing you? And they go, What do you mean? So when you're hanging out, you're not thinking about much. Your default brain's kicked in. There's no focus whatsoever. You're just drifting in the wind. What are you doing? Instead of trying to figure out your passion, think about what you're doing. Usually right in front of you. Are you reading, fishing, writing, exercising, walking, talking, playing, fighting, laughing, watching TV, binging, guilt, quilting, gardening, volunteering, socializing? You love doing something else. It's probably a few things, but it's one of those times when you are not being asked to do anything by yourself or anybody else, when you have full choice. And in fact, probably if I take the question even deeper, is yes, you have full choice, but you're not even thinking about it. It's as if you just got out of bed, didn't think about it, and found yourself doing something. What do? I know my wife, there's kind of two things she does. Other things she does when she thinks about it, but I can guarantee you when she's not, well, okay, she doesn't think about much. She just does her day. That's what she does. She's a rhythmic, ritualistic robot sometimes. Gets up, does her thing. But there are two things she will default, and that's a compliment. And she will, trust me, it's a compliment. She just does that. And I just get in line behind her and watch her go. I can wind her up, put a couple Duracells in her, and she's just going to go. But I can tell you, if given the default mode, if given a place where she is just, what's Joy do when she's doing Joy? She's going to probably find herself in the kitchen. She likes to cook. She's been into nutrition, and she will just spend her whole day in the kitchen. That's why we invested in kitchen stuff and appliances and all this stuff, because that's how she likes to spend her time. And I can promise you, she will spend 8 hours in the kitchen. I have no idea what she's doing. Now, if she's not in the kitchen, I can promise you she's going to be at the gym. Somewhere between, she's not, if she's not thinking, she's going to be at one of those two places. I'm trying to work on a third place I'd like her to be when she's not thinking, but I can't get her to think about that yet. And because of the nature of this show, I can't say exactly what it is I'm trying to get her to think about more of, especially on the weekends. Wink, wink. What do you do when you're doing you? Personally, for me, I'm kind of a boring guy. I don't get up and go do exciting things. Well, you ride your motorcycle when you're doing you. I guess. Not really. Usually I'm thinking. I'm reading. Usually I'm walking around smiling, just, kind of paying attention to the world. It's not very much. This podcast is what I do when I'm doing me. This is very much within my wheelhouse. It's what I do. When I sit down here to do this, it's a fun time for me. I could do it endlessly and oftentimes have. Naturally do it. What do you do when you're doing you? A long time ago when I started the podcast, somebody figured me out. They busted me. Scott, I've got you figured out, man. You just like to talk. It was one of my skills, that's for sure. But it's the words and the thoughts in between, and digging down deep inside and literally accepting that you're going to get out of bed and you're going to do you anyway because you are all about you and there's nothing you can do about it. The question is, when you actively, consciously think and catch yourself in the act of being you, what is that? And how can you do more of that and leverage it to get exactly what you want in life? How can you do that? Like I said, some of you aren't going to be able to figure this out. Some of you are going to be lost. It's not going to be a 1, 2, 3, a Reddit list for you. It's not going to be that. You're going to have to think about it. But if you will, take a pause and just go, what do I do when I'm most happy, when I'm just mindlessly being me? If I could just do it all the time, what would that be? That's a clue to what you should be doing, and you should build your life around that. All right? Well, all right. If you need more help, just send me a check for $10,000, and I will sort it out for you, okay? Kidding, sort of, maybe. If you got money, send it to me. That's cool, too. All right, go. Stop it, Scott. Go to Facebook, dailyboostpodcast.com/Facebook. I am there. If you want to join me in Daily Boost Premium, be part of my next Boost coaching call we're going to do here in a couple of weeks, just go to dailyboostpodcast.com/Facebook and dailyboostpremium.com, where you can go give me some money and get more for your money. Have a great weekend.